Day. Uh, I want to make comment about our citizen representative. There is senator representative that wants to come on board with us. So make it known that we want more residents to come on board with the communication department. I looked at the minutes and I approved the minutes as was presented. Um, we have Mr. Little, our deputy city manager, and we want to discuss broadband. And I know that's one of his babies. So let's see what Mr. Little has to offer with more information about our broadband.
Yes, ma'am. At this point, I would have to say that we are in something of a struggle to try and move the city's situation relative to broadband. Um, the BEADS program has been put in place at the federal level. That's the primary source that we anticipated hoping to get funding from to try and establish a community-based broadband system here in the city. The problem, among a number of them, is the way they structured that. All of the states have to submit their plans to NTIA, National Telegraph Information Association, whatever, to be approved. Michigan submitted its plan over a month ago, and it should be approved very shortly. The moment it's approved, starts a 30-day challenge period, they call it. Because Benton Harbor has coax cable strung throughout the state, that is part of the Comcast system, basically, for their entertainment business. And a lot of that cable's been there since they bought the system from Greene County Cable back in the 80s when I was here the first time. But because NTIA and the federal regulations say that coax cable is rated to be able to handle internet at a speed of 100 Mbps. That is considered coverage, whether you're connected to the homes or not. Now, I have raised sand about that issue, saying that the potential exists here for even farms to be connected and we not be connected because of this so-called coverage. They say 20% of the city supposedly isn't covered, which means that we would only be entitled to apply for 20% of the funding that should be available to us. Once this challenge period begins, and I've already been working with several groups and with Merit Engineering to try to set up a process to move as quickly as we can to do what they call a speed test. They have a program that persons or families that have internet and believe they're paying for high speed can go online and take this particular test that will determine what their actual speed is that internet is being delivered at. And if it doesn't meet the requirement, that then allows us not to adjust the figure saying there's no coverage, but to say there's insufficient coverage for those particular ones. So we've been working in the background to try to get ready to move on that. We will be attempting this week, if possible, to do a brief training session with several nonprofit groups we're working with to try and help get that information out to as many people as we can to hopefully get them prepared to assist with this. One of my concerns is we may not have that many people who are connected that would say, I'm paying and getting high-speed internet. Because I've also pointed out that the cost is particularly high with Comcast. A lot of people are saying that they can barely afford the cable television, let alone adding on internet or whatever. I've also made the point that if they were delivering internet at 100 Mbps, that still does not give me what I'm interested in for this city in terms of the ability to develop smart homes, telemedicine, and those kinds of things that we want. But in any event, that's where we are right now. I might add at the same time, we've also got one or two other players running around talking about they're gonna do something with broadband. I don't know what it is they're gonna do or they think they can do, but nevertheless, it's not part of anything that we have going on.
It's not a part of what?
Not part of anything that we have going on.
Oh, okay. So, I've just heard that, some residents were looking into broadband and where they might, fit themselves. And then I hear you say that you have, some entities that you're working with already. Are they nonprofits? Are they residents? Are they, local businesses?
They're nonprofits that are going to try and connect up local residents.
Okay, and I've heard about the test. I've seen that they've given a test in, I think it was Muskegon Heights.
They also gave it a lot of Broward County too. I mean, I'm sorry, not Broward, Marion County as they were working out here in the rural areas.
Oh, they already out there.
They've already done some of that because they initially began working in rural areas using Robin, the initial funding that was available primarily for rural areas.
Okay, so sometime this year, we might have a decision to be making about broadband.
We will be doing everything that we can to get to someplace as quickly as we can, yes.
Have you put in consideration Justice 40 in broadband?
Yes, we've talked about that. It's not, there's no provisions for it in the act that deals with this.
There's no provisions for Justice 40 in the act.
Right. The Justice 40 fits and applies to certain programs and not to others.
Okay. So, we'll put broadband back on the agenda a couple months. We'll have more information to share, or shall we do it next month? Because there might be some information that we need to get out to the residents. What do you think? It won't hurt.
It won't hurt anything. Yeah.
We'll put it next month then.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Current city communication. I just see that we sent out a letter about the water,
Yes.
and I saw that it was, some of the mail was sent out with stamps and some of the mails was sent out with postage scanners. So I didn't know exactly where that was coming from, if that came out of the city manager's budget or exactly, because I know communication don't have very much money in it at all. So I was just wondering, was that going to be our source, the mail, from now on. When I get calls about streets and sidewalks and different jobs that are being done in the neighborhood, and like Columbus, I didn't know it was going to happen that soon. And the people were calling me, and they were really disgusted because it was a mess over there for them. They couldn't get in and out. It was muddy. Nobody told them that they were going to do it. And that's a communication and a public relations issue.
I certainly agree, and I'm going to be doing the best I can to close the gap on those kinds of things and try to find a way to get as much information out as we can. Obviously, a good bit of it is going to have to rely on the website and information being put there, and also on our discussions that take place in this chamber that get on YouTube. This city has serious financial limitations, but within what we have, we're going to try and make every effort to do what we can. Just had a discussion come up this past week about a couple of calls that came in from people that were somewhat upset because there was no notice apparently that we weren't mailing out water bills last month. And then we sent out water bills for both months. And
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought I was tripping.
and there were people who expressed concerns about that, and I talked with a couple and basically apologized to them on behalf of the city that we had not gotten some kind of notice out. And then I got with Ms. Osler and asked her about the next water bill going out, whether or not we could put some information on that bill so that it didn't require any additional money or whatever. And she said that she thought she could, and I asked her, let's put something on there that basically says we apologize for not giving notice before the last bill was missed, and that we will make every effort in the future to try and communicate better.
They don't put that on that little card?
I don't know if she can back what the answer was. I don't know if I can get all of that. Let's do the best we can.
Okay, so, well, I'll just put my little bit in there. Website is a great place to go and get information. This website that we have now is just a little bit better than our last one. But there, as Mayor says, there's always room for improvement. But it doesn't cover the rest of all our residents. And I'm hearing you say about the broadband, 20% uses Comcast.
No, that's not what I said.
Oh, you said 20.
I said that the information that has been provided as a result of the county's assessment throughout the county and so forth is that the maps they have say 20% of Benton Harbor is not covered. 80% is. Now, for my money, that 80% is don't mean nothing.
No. Okay, that's the county's estimation. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's not just the county, because actually the feds participate in that process. They redid that. At first it was worse than that, because it was done strictly by the feds initially. But I think they went back and tried to redo it. But there's work to be done.
Okay, all right.
That's what they're saying, is that there's only 20% uncovered right now, and that technically means that we can only apply but 20% of what we might have been able to pursue.
Okay, all right. So that just lets me know that we are really in trouble when it comes to communication. Um, the newspaper says that they have 1% readers from Benton Harbor. And I guess however they determine that. So there's a lot of people there. Um, YouTube seems to be picking up quite a few people watching it now. I'm seeing more and more, and that's good. But that still doesn't cover.
As a matter of fact, my impression is that the process that gets the most coverage in the city, quite frankly, is, what do we call it, Facebook.
Oh, social media.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
that's the
That
prime media.
social media.
Yes.
Twitter then changed its name to something else, and Instagram. I mean, all of those are young people get on, and if you find a senior that maneuvers around in Facebook, they're doing good.
Well, many are, in spite of the hurdles. As a matter of fact, the impression I'm getting is that many of the seniors with their cell phones, if they do anything else other than the telephone, that's it.
They text.
Facebook.
They text. They learning the text.
They're learning the text and they're learning to look at Facebook, because when their relatives send pictures and whatnot, it's on Facebook. And Facebook is probably by far the greatest medium for communication going on in the city.
And that requires a lot of work. And we don't have staff available to do that. When we start talking about residents volunteering, for the last 5 or 6 years, we got all pushback. Now, I need to have an understanding about social media. Has to have an administrator. Do you have any suggestions about that?
Well, at this point, my thoughts about this whole area is that there's no question we need to improve it. And as to how we can improve it, any means that we do, other than doing better with what we have, is going to cost money. And right now, we don't have money. What we've got to do is re-examine everything that we are doing right now to look for some ways to reduce costs and increase revenues. And I think then we can begin looking at making some reasonable choices to address some of these unmet needs.
I keep hearing that shortage of money, but it don't stop us from spending money. So I'm just dumbfounded by that statement that we are short of money, because usually you spend money where your priorities lie, and being transparent with government is very important, that our people can trust us. What we're saying and doing is the right thing for them. If we open up that avenue of communication, we'll have more input from the residents. And so I just think that our priorities are not as strong as I would like for them to be in communication. Yeah, we do need to make some changes. I was kind of hoping that our city clerk would get a deputy that would relieve some of her pressures, as well as maybe we could get them to work with social media. But it's always a quagmire. I'm still waiting to find out why we're still drug testing and not allowing applicants to have second chance. And I believe that that's a person that could be in her office right now, learning the skills and helping us with the communication. Because everything comes out of the clerk's office is public information. It's already talked about, cited about, and so I'm just having a problem with all the other quagmire that's stopping us, little quagmires that's stopping us from moving forward. And that was one of them that I was hoping that we'd have a resident, a working person, getting a job, and take care of the social media part. So until we get those little things together and put our priorities in place, I guess communication and transparency is at the bottom of the list.
To the extent that I'm able to have any influence on that subject, it's a little higher than the bottom of the list by quite a ways. I mean, we do need better communication, faster communications. Whether it's a major water leak or we gotta get boil water or whatever, we need a means of getting the word out there that can reach as many people as possible.
Well, I thought about mass texting. I get them all the time. That would require us to have a database. I don't know who would have time to do a database, unless it's maybe our new deputy clerk might find some time to do a database. I don't know. But I do know if you're going to do mass texting, I remember a gentleman that used to come to town maybe 10, 15 years ago, and he talked about mass texting. And I'm going to call him up and see if he has gotten any better, or I can have a better understanding of what he's talking about with mass texting. Everybody's got a phone, even if they don't have a smartphone, they can get a text.
Sure can. Let's just continue to work on that. I agree that there's a need for improvement, and I'm certainly going to the extent that I'm able to try to help with that.
Okay. Ms. Ganai, you don't have to raise your hand, just go to.
Well, I think
You-
it'd be impolite for me to just interrupt you as you're trying to
Okay,
express a point.
go ahead.
So I just want
your
to do
thing.
that
I'm
because
waiting
you
on
are
you.
the chair. What I'd like to say, one of the things that now today, I had no idea that at communications
You forgot.
was going here on today. And I didn't hear it announced really the last time I was here.
No.
But it's possible that I could. But I think of one of the great ways that we can work on part of the communications end of this is at our commission meetings, that we can announce the different, I can see on the back of our
Agenda.
agenda
Mhm.
that we do have a lot of things listed. But I think even with the clerk being here during our commission meetings, at the end of the meetings, she can make the announcement at 5:30 on Wednesdays or Mondays. Just keep repeating it. It's worth just saying it because then a lot of people listen in on those meetings. So that's one avenue. And for her to, it's even a reminder to some of us that are slow and not too bright as the rest of you guys are. That's me, a little bit slow, and it takes a little while for me to catch on. But if it's a routine thing that is continually done, then I'll catch it eventually. And just like others, because what did I say? All you youngsters are technically savvy and older people that would like to get on board. They need a constant reminder. Sometimes they would be interested, but sometimes there's other things that's going on, and they just don't catch it right then. But if it's constant, a mention of it each week that we have these meetings, or each time we have these meetings, that communications is at such and such time, and this month it'll fall on this particular date. I think this would be one of the ways to help. And I do understand that this maybe taking care of city's business is for real smart people, but I'd like to just hang in here to see what I can do to at least put in a positive thought that might catch on and remind you that it's people like myself that would catch on better if it's a constant reminder of it in the different meetings that we're having, the other meetings that are coming up. So if it's every 2 weeks, every other week that we're having the commission meeting, they can mention that every Wednesday at 5:30, and I do know every Wednesday at 5:30 because it's been constant that there's a meeting here. But then when it came to communication, it fell here on Monday,
Yeah,
which was not the norm for me to get in routine of.
right.
So if I had it set up that way, because it's very important, there was an issue that was brought up that uh, Mr. Little, he was sitting over there, and he mentioned about the sidewalks, and a lot of people don't know what to what extent is he talking about in the upkeep of the tree lawn, the sidewalk. To what extent are we talking about? We need to know that as residents, because then we can come back with questions in depth to get a clear understanding as to what he meant. We know sweeping it off and keeping paper trash and all that, but to what depth is he talking about that we need to? It needs to be a letter sent out first of all, so it's documented, and then also things of that importance. And to me, that would be important for each resident, especially if they're going to have to be responsible for something. And you don't know that some people, even on sidewalks and in yards, they're parking their vehicle. So if you got important matters to take care of like that, I think that it needs to be communicated in a very firm manner, because we've got to do better here in getting communications out to the people.
Well, let's just go back and have a little history lesson. At one time, the chair or the vice chair would give a report of what happened in their committee, a little scenario, a synopsis of, and that would in turn announce when the meeting was, what was talked about in the meeting, or so. I think that I will ask my colleagues if we could go back to that practice.
Mm-hmm.
Ask the chair, because he is the controller of the meeting, and ask the mayor to allow or request that the chair or the co-chair announce whatever happened in the committee meetings.
Well, Coach, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
she do have a rundown of what happened at the last meeting
Oh, yeah, but it's in the minutes.
in the minutes.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that, yes, I have this before me, but I got to get in a routine of knowing, because I'm accustomed to us having the first Monday and the third Monday for our commission meeting.
Yeah,
I'm accustomed to 5:30 every Wednesday. One of the arms of our government is having a meeting at 5:30. But here it is on a Monday, which out of the practice of what I'm accustomed to, I don't,
well,
I haven't gotten used to that. I need
I'm
to
going
be
to
used to
call
that.
you. I'm going to call you more. You're my co-chair. I want you to have all the information that I've got.
Mhm,
And then when we come here, we'll be on one page. I'll make sure that I touch you
mhm.
because you're new in more than one way. You haven't been a co-chair, and you're a new commission, and I want you to have the information to help this committee go forward. So
One of
I
the,
apologize,
right.
and I will do better.
One of the things, if you ask me to serve at something, if I say I'll give my best to be there and give as much input as possible.
Yes.
And I'm one to follow to make sure that I get an answer. So it might be a new thing that a person's going to press you, and I might get to work before you get to work or whatever. But when I want an answer, I done already ran for office, and people ask me questions. So
I
I have to
understand.
make sure that I have the answer for them because I've sworn under oath to have clarity for the people.
I understand. I've been in the same place, and when I can't, when I say, well, I have to apologize to my constituents because I didn't know when the project was going to start myself.
Mhm.
That makes me look bad. That makes the city look bad. Transparency is going to be a word for 2024, and so we're just gonna have to open up ourselves and change our priorities. Mr. Mitchell said that communication is not, Mr. Little says the communication is not on the bottom of the rim, but I've been here for a long time and I've not been able to get that same feeling that he has. So,
In fairness, it's not at the bottom, but it also is not, I don't want to say not the top, but there are pressing matters like trying to make sure that we get this financial situation under control is at the top. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, well,
We'll work on all of it together.
I'm just being optimistic. I've seen the budget go up and down, but I do know from everything that I've read and everything that I've seen in the last year or two, money is going to flow into Benton Harbor. Harbor Shores will be already flowing money in very soon. Whirlpool's going to be flowing money in very soon. We got dispensaries bringing money in very soon. The state and the federal government is flowing money to us. All we got to do, seems like, is to ask for it. Write the grant or ask for it, and Benton Harbor gets it. So I've seen us in the worst, and I've seen us in the best. And I'm going to be, if God lets me live, I'm going to see us in the better. It's going to be better. It's not going to be the same it's been. It's going to be better. And so I'm thinking positive, but I'm also go back to that human infrastructure thing that if we don't support humans and they don't have an understanding or trust us, government is in trouble in Benton Harbor. If our people don't trust us, don't understand what's going on, or feel like they have no input.
Where are we on our agenda?
Well, we talked about the social media out of content, but we haven't talked about old business in newsletter. I still have not gotten any information about the budget or reallocating any money for communication. It's been postponed until March, I think. She said March.
Respectfully, at this point, it needs to continue to be postponed until we can get a handle on exactly all of what we've got going on and what our situation is. we don't have the luxury of continuing to reach into the limited ARPA dollars to cover the gaps. We've got to get this thing under control. And so the newsletter and the social media discussion are sort of intertwined. They're both about how best at the most reasonable cost to improve in general communications to our citizens.
No, they're not intertwined. They're two separate, completely separate entities. And they don't operate the same, and their benefits will not be the same. Uh, I'm looking to reach every household in the city with information about what's going on in the city, information about the opportunities that are available, that are available now, and the opportunities that are coming up, the job openings, all sorts of training. We went to a seminar for the Black Mayors Conference, and they talked about coming here with a small business and creating small businesses for us. And what community has no services in it at all? Benton Harbor, there's no service. You can't get a bike shop. We barely got a bank. We don't have a grocery store. We will have. Those will be things that we asked for the last 50 years, a grocery store. So things are improving, but I'm looking to touch everyone in Benton Harbor, because the weakest person that feels the strongest about an issue is the one we want to touch.
I understand.
So,
Are you ready for new business?
just
One other thing that I'd like to relate to. One of the things that would solve a lot of our problems, because at one time the mayor was telling us how many millions of dollars we had here and how they're dispersed. What I need to see is that we have that one person, which is the finance director, to be here, to be in the meeting and give account of where every single dollar that comes in and everyone that goes out, and get that information to us as a whole, and be here so that we can ask questions as to where is this money, that money. And when you can't give an account of your actual dollars, we need someone that specializes in that. They know what comes in and they know where it goes out, and they can pinpoint every dollar. We need that here. We haven't had that since 2017, I think, that we had this one finance director. And the other one that came in, he claimed that he wasn't able to get all the information that he needed. He was directed to Plant Moran. I was here and heard him even speak that. And so we've got to do business differently. We got to be more accountable. This is a small community, predominantly Black. There's going to be questions about everything that is done here. So we can't be nonchalant about it. There's other things that I'm going to eventually speak with you all about, that I have a great concern to see, since we got such a small city and we got 9 votes, is it?
Yeah.
We should make everything run much smoother in such a small city. So I don't know what the problem is, because there's been big money, and then there's been matching funds that came in for a lot of things. Then we have the city income tax. We got monies that's here. We got spent out $1 million for equipment for the public works, and the streets look like a third world country. I mean, yeah, you can tell the people to clean up and do this, but the city got that kind of equipment. They ought to have. What was the reason for getting it if you couldn't take care of this? This is all in communicating to even your workers and to you, that these things need to be on board. You got the equipment here. You got to find a way to have people in place to do that. You can't put the wagon before the horse. The horse pulls the wagon. So you got to have things in order for things to work right. So this is what I'm looking for, is to make sense of what is going on. I mean, am I clear? Do you clearly understand what I'm
I
saying?
certainly do.
Okay.
I think you're saying just what I was saying.
In a different way.
Yeah.
But we're saying the same thing.
But do you understand that I'm saying that a finance director, if he's here, he can answer every point of what we're talking about when it comes to our dollars. That would be his responsibility. Now, they said Plant Moran takes care of that, but here is a meeting, we're talking about communications, and we don't have the dollars for it. If it was the finance director, they'd be right there to answer everything that we need to know.
They still
I'm-
wouldn't be able to do anything with that question. The city's charter makes the development of the budget the responsibility of the manager. The finance director tracks funds, holds funds in the different accounts that it needs to be in the different financial institutions, and reports on the funds. That's it.
But we don't have that now.
We will get to, I think we're on the same page in terms of what you're asking, to the extent that I am able to influence it. I think we'll get there.
Okay, because in communications here, I want to just, people will begin to flow and knock at my door. And one has got a list of things that she has been concerned over a long period of time. And when these people are concerned, and I went door to door knocking and asked for their vote. So when those people look for answers from me, it looks pretty bad for me not to have an answer for them, or they see some improvement during the time I'm here. If you go 2 or 3 terms here and there's no improvement, something is not right. So that's what I'm saying. We got to do something different here. This is not right.
Are we ready now for new business?
I think so. You finished?
Yes, I'm finished.
I heard you loud and clear, Mr. Duncan.
Yeah, I have something to say. All you guys are just so nice and got your ideas and everything. But that newsletter, it ain't nothing better than that for the citizens. Nothing, and why it's back at the bottom of the list or in the middle of the list. That is, you know something, in a democratic society, you put it to the vote. You can ask the citizens how this sound and why can't it happen? Why won't it happen? Because all of these years trying to get this to be for the citizens, which we never asked for anything. That's what the problem is. We never asked for anything. We sit up and we leave it up to our officials to do it. We leave it up to the mayor and everybody else to do it, or Whirlpool to do it. Let's do it like that. But we never do anything immediate for the citizens. And the newsletter is mandatory. It's more mandatory to me than any of these projects going on in the city, because it's communicating with us. That's what the problem has been all the time. We were always considered as complainers, and when we had something to say, we got drowned out, got all kind of funny looks and everything. But we had pertinent points, and that newsletter was mandatory then, is mandatory now, and for you guys to sit in those positions and back up and not, well, we gotta do command things now, because that's the position y'all in. We do have money. Take the money out of Gene Clark Park. We've got Gene Clark Park. We got money. There ain't no reason why we can't have a newsletter in this town, and you can listen to anybody say different. And I'm going to disagree. Do for the citizens because you're not doing for the citizens. You're doing for any and everybody else, but you're not giving us what we need. We need that newsletter. I don't have skills for computer going on there trying to figure nothing out. I come here and can't figure nothing out because they won't even, like you said, won't even say it up there. So the only regrets we have is that newsletter. And for it to go anywhere but on the top of the list is an insult to Mr. Duncan. It can be anything you want to be to anybody else. I thank you for hearing me out. But I'm serious. I feel this way.
Thank you.
Is that,
That's
is that public comments?
pretty much.
All right.
We just kind of flow in this. So if new business is, do you have something, Mr.?
The only thing I am going to be sending to you all, got a communication from Comcast, informing us, was already aware on one point that among all the stuff going on in Congress, they have not reauthorized this bill that you all heard about, that poor people can get internet service, $30 and be and all of that. And they indicated that there's another program where people can get some internet service for like $9.75 a month or whatever. I'm gonna be sending that to you all. I will also be sending out to you the specific ordinances that deal with the resident responsibility regarding sidewalks, everything back of the curb and to the center of the alley in the back of the house. I will be sending, there's several vegetation that has some information that you need to be aware of also. And I'm gonna be sending out to you the letter notice we got from Hood not long ago, because we are rapidly approaching May 5th. And they sent a letter as to where we are in terms of our spending rate and what's happening there. So as this countdown takes place, I'm going to be sharing that information with you so that you know firsthand just where we are. And that's all of the new business that I have. With that, we're ready for adjournment.
Yes, well, you have that information with us for the next meeting?
I'll have it before the next meeting. Next meeting is first Monday of next month.
Okay.
The first I'll have.
Communications?
Yeah.
Is the last Monday.
Last Monday.
The fourth Monday.
Fourth Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fourth Monday.
Okay, Comcast. It's been here a long time, and I've heard a lot of history on them and in the United States. They've been in court quite a bit about abusing communities. So at one time I had Comcast standing on guard. They were ready to give us $76,000 to put a studio back in and help us do everything we can to make a studio. Now, Channel 98 was a blessing when it started, and it turned into a circus. But I think that we've grown much more now, and I would like to have that discussion with Comcast again. Yeah, Comcast is talking. There was that $30 plan, and a lot of people got it. And then there's one that also allows the people to have it free. So now, I don't want to bring that subject up because Mr. Duncan will say we should all of us should have it free.
Let me remind you, we do still have a program getting underway that Cornerstone's involved in to make Wi-Fi free in a large part of the city once they get it done.
Yeah, if they're gonna do downtown, they're not
No,
gonna
no,
do,
no, 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 no. Downtown's already done. They are doing it in Union Park. And I think
Broadway Park, I got you.
and they're supposed to be doing it also in several of the housing complexes.
I got you. That's really mighty
Yeah.
nice of them.
But
But
basically.
If it's not all over,
Yeah.
that's what the government, that's what the government, the federal government
It's
want, that's
supposed
what
to
the
be
state
addressed.
government, they want all of us to be uniform.
Yeah.
And
But they got all these hurdles in place for which hoop you gotta jump through to do it. And we all recognize that when we start dealing with for-profit businesses, they will do what they need to do as long as they need to do it to get the money that's available. And as soon as the federal money dries up, it's back to business as usual.
back to business, yes.
Because their principal obligation is to their shareholders. They're about making money, not providing necessarily community services, not their priority.
Right, but they have an obligation. And Comcast has a great obligation to Benton Harbor City.
When I began,
And what we've done is allowed them to get away from it and not do what they are obligated to do. That's like, they are obligated. I've been working with Comcast for since Greene County left. Was Greene County? Yeah.
Mhm.
Greene County left. I've been working with Comcast. Before that, it was another one. And but Comcast the city of Benton Harbor has a contract, and they need to perform the things that they said they can. And it wasn't because I picked the location of Carl Brown's incubator center that could be utilized as a studio, be utilized as a training place for our children. I don't know what the problem was, why Comcast was let go. I had them on the hook, and they were ready to provide everything for us, and I don't know what happened. But a lesson learned, because the next time I get somebody on the hook, I will not involve anybody but me to keep them on the hook.
as I pursued this broadband thing, one thing I have repeated everywhere I've talked to them about, I say to them, when I came on board October 50, 2020, the second week, Commissioner Juanita Henry asked me to contact Comcast to find out what their intentions are toward broadband in the city of Benton Harbor. I called, I got a hold of, after shifting around several people, an engineer in South Bend by the name of Greg Gomolka, who told me in response to the question, I've got to get with my superiors, I'll get back to you. Never got back, called him again the second year, same question to Greg Gomolka, same answer to Alex Little. Call back the third year, Greg Gomolka has retired.
Well, I got
That's
him
the
before he
science.
retired, and I spoke with his supervisor, and they were coming with the money, and I don't know what happened. But that happened before. I love to give history lesson, then I'm gonna let you out of here. You might already know this history lesson, but for the mitigated property of Gene Clark Park, we were supposed to get $1.5 million worth of development from Gene Clark Road all the way over to Paw Paw. That would be a road and development there. The greatest project that Benton Harbor has had, especially connected to the harbor shores, and it all went away for $150,000. That had nothing to do with us, but that's the kind of stuff that was done to us. And now we're looking at that project again, but it's not in the magnitude and it's not with their money, it's with our money. So I'm ready to go after Comcast again because per my documents, they still under contract with the city. I don't know what we changed in the 5-year contract, but if staff allowed Comcast to get from underneath that, then it's just shame on us.
All right. Thanks,
And
everybody.
thank you for coming, sharing that information with us.
All right.
We'll be looking at that mass texting, and if you can do that, get her department straight, we might have an extra hand in it.
We work very closely together on a lot of things.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You were saying,
Ms. Kennard, you got any more comments?
None.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. Remember to share the information, and
Did he? Mr. Duncan.
Mr. Duncan.
this come on, because it's like talking to deaf ears.
No, it ain't deaf, Mr. Duncan. Don't worry. You're being heard. We just got to make sure that the right foot goes.
in 70 years.
I'm gonna say that. Not the right foot. We gotta make sure that we get the right people in the right place. Thank you. Ms. Kennard,
Yes.
you're such a blessing.
I don't know.
I mean, I called you and I told you, you don't